Our tribute to you this morning. Rescue crews are doing all that they can to try to rescue, maybe it's a recovery effort now in those operations in Italy, but it now has been suspended. The final count is 23 people still missing. 2 Americans are included in that number. They're from Minnesota. And this is because the ship is apparently slipping and moving. Earlier this morning, I spoke to former Navy SEAL Eric Reitens about what it would be like inside that ship for rescuers.
It's an incredibly difficult and dangerous rescue situation. You have to keep in mind that the minute that they head into that hull, there's no natural light and there's no electricity, so it's pitch black. You also have debris from the ship. Every mattress, every piece of furniture, every personal item is now floating in that ship. You're moving through a ship that was 1,000 feet long, 100 feet wide, with multiple levels, thousands of doors, and as the rescuers are moving through, they have to check every single one of those compartments as they search for bodies in the ship.
That was Eric Reitens. He's a former Navy SEAL, updating us on what that rescue might be like inside the hull of that ship. The captain, we know, is now out of jail. Prosecutors say they plan to appeal the judge's decision that placed the captain under house arrest. Jack Hickey is a maritime attorney, and he is in Miami this morning. Thanks for joining us on the panel here. Appreciate it. So first of all, this whole case will be decided in Italy, right? Because it's flying under the Italian flag. It happened in the country of Italy. So the expectations is this is now a fully Italian case, correct?
Right. In the ticket contract, which if you talk about the claims by the passengers against the cruise line Costa, in the ticket contract, it provides that all of those claims in any cruise that does not touch a U.S. port, in the case of Costa, all of those claims should be brought in Genoa, Italy. So yes, those claims will be brought there, and those claims will be governed by Italian law.
So there are 70 people or so, we're told, who sort of come together to create this what I think we would call a class action lawsuit. Is that how this eventually is going to come down? As it has to be a class of people who are suing, the 4,000 people who are suing here?
No, it's really, I know about this talk about a class action. I think it's mainly a big group of people bringing claims. In the United States, certainly it would not be a class action. It would be an action by a large group of individuals for claims. We, in fact, are working with an Italian attorney to bring claims over there. And it's just on behalf of each individual injured person or the family of the folks who have passed away. So it's really not a class, but there is a group of people, 70 people, who are banding together over in Italy or to bring claims over in Italy, and so they should.
Sir, my question is, are there now separate actions with respect to criminal actions, civil actions, and then maritime law violations?
Well, there's, you have to sort out the different kinds, the different legal aspects here. One is one are the claims by the crew members, and that's governed by maritime law, and it's going to be the law as applied by the Italian courts or by the United States courts, and I'll talk about that in a minute. 2 is the claims brought by the passengers, and then 3 are the claims brought by the Italian authorities, either against the captain or other officials or the cruise line itself in the criminal context. That's completely different, and that's, of course, governed by Italian law. This business about the captain, we can all focus on the captain. Certainly the cruise line wants us to focus on the captain. The fact is the captain did a horrendous many horrendous things, running aground, number 1. Number 2, not calling for Mayday right away. Number 3, himself evacuating the ship. The captain absolutely should be the last man, the last person off the ship. And those will subject the captain to criminal proceedings in Italy.
But let me ask you a question.
The layers.
And I think we have a graphic of this because Lloyd's of London has showed that the ship has done this before. There's satellite tracking that has showed that this particular ship has gone close to the shore before. And so while you know that the company, Costa, has been trying to, obviously every word they've said has been to voice blame on the captain, who clearly, I think, from where we sit, is full of blame. At the same time, how responsible, what's the culpability of Costa if in fact this has been done before, that there were people who are locals knew that the ship would come by, they could all wave, they'd blow the horn to celebrate certain kind of festivals, etc. So how liable potentially, sir, could Costa be?
Right. This is a really good question because number one, and I want to bring up something right away, is Costa Cruise Line is responsible for the actions of its master in this incident, okay, without regard to whether it's been done before. That's number one. Number two is, you bring up, Soledad, the big picture. The big picture is, here, is it just this one captain that one time did one thing wrong? It's not. And it's, you know, there are a lot of questions here that go back to the systemic problems. That's what you bring up, and that is, hey, this is veered off course before, number one, and why have the alarm bells not sounded then? And number two, what about that night at 10 o'clock at night when the ship veers off course? They have GPS. It's a $500 million or so piece of property.
More people than the captain knew that that was veering off course.
And can the prior incidents be used
Why can't they track it?
Costa? Can the prior incidents be used against Costa in these lawsuits or any of the litigation involved?
I'm sure.
I don't think it's really necessary that, you know, that be brought up against Costa. I mean, certainly it can be, but the fact is Costa is responsible for the negligent actions of the captain in this instance. But the questions, you know, the systemic questions are, hey, if this has been done before, why hasn't Costa retrained its captains? Why hasn't Costa tracked it even that night? Why didn't Costa track it and say, hey, you know, get on the radio, hey, Captain Schettino, why are you off course? We have you on the GPS. We have you on the radar right now. You are off course, sir. What's going on? Or whomever is on the bridge.
Right. John Hickey is the Maritime attorney taking a look at some of the questions that I know all the lawyers will be going through over the next weeks and months ahead. Thanks, sir. Appreciate your time. Coming up this morning on Starting Point, Rick Perry.